Good morning and welcome to sanding a herringbone wood floor today. We're going to be using our machine from our package 2. This is my machine, this is the one I prefer to use. Package 1 will equally do the trick. I think you find that if you go with our package 4, you get the belt sander, you get the edger and you get the orbital sander. But nonetheless, we can talk you through that at any given moment. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more technical in terms of how we're actually going to tackle a parquet floor. There's a lot of things that you see online, people doing. It's not always the best or always the right way. For me personally, we're going to sand up and down with the wooden blocks. That way we're cutting across the grain rather than going with the grain. If you start going with the grain, you'll go sand it over, and then when you go across it, you're going to sand under it, and you're going to leave a little bit of a wave effect in your floor. The idea of floor sanding is we want to get this as flat as we possibly can do. So going across the grains at every given moment, that's how we're going to get it nice and flat. Once we've done our first pass, we're then going to turn, and then we're going to sand this way, across the grain again, ensuring that we get the entire floor as flat as physically possible. We are going to be gap filling this floor as well. It's going to be finished with a clear finish. So for the time being, let's get on with some sanding. Let's see what we actually mean. So that was our first pass done. We've gone up and down with the belt sander. On our next pass, we're going to go in a 90-degree different direction, ensuring that we do actually get rid of every divot, every unevenness within this floor. Next step is we've got to get these edges done. We sort of have a look around. So we've got a fair bit of edging to do. What we might be better off doing in these instances is seeing, yes, can we remove these annoying shelves? What you should find is we'll be able to get the belt sander in there a little bit more. But for the time being, let's crack on with the edger and see how we get on with that. So we've got our edger all set up. We've chosen the grip we want to go with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move along the edges, come back and work in a circular motion, blending out to where this belt sander couldn't reach. I have taped up the wires now, so it should reach a little bit closer next time. But in this instance, this is what we've got to work with. So we've got ourselves some very fine dust, which we've gathered from the sanding. This is an 80 grit sanding dust, so it's really fine. Hardly any dirt, hardly any grit in it. That's exactly what we want. Some nice powdery dust. Next, what we want to do is simply pour yourself on some gap fill. You want it like a cake mix. If you've ever made a Victoria sponge, that is what we are after. Just don't eat this stuff. Grab your big trowel, and you just want to get that to a nice consistency. You don't want it too runny, you don't want it too thick. I prefer doing this on the actual floor itself. Saves wasting a bucket. Ultimately, it's going on the floor regardless. So fold it over itself, make sure all of that dry dust is completely gone. And as you can see now, we've got a nice mixture. Now, depending on the size of the gaps on the flooring, you might want to make this a little bit thicker. For me, on these type of flooring, the gaps are not too big, but they are still there and they are still present. So that's ultimately what we want, something a little bit runny. What you'll find is as you go over the floor, you might pick up some excess dust from here, there and everywhere. Okay, so that's our belt sanding done. That's our edger all done and dusted. Now, if you're hiring from HSS, Speedy Hire, local tool hire shop on your high street, this is where you end it. From the camera, it looks okay. So a camera from a distance, let's have a look at it a bit more close up. Right, so we've got the back camera now, a bit more clarity. As you can see, nobody wants their floor looking like this. Not a beautiful herringbone, come on, we can do much better than that. That's why we've got the secret weapon. As compared to HSS, Speed Hire, everyone else you can also imagine, hire a professional floor sander from a professional floor sander. Let's tie this all in beautifully. Difference you've got an edger. which spins in a circular motion, versus a belt sander, which sands in one direction, as you can see with the belt lines there. We come into here, we notice young Charlie has our orbital sander. Now look at the difference. Gaps filled, planetary sanded. That is what a herringbone floor should look like. So we're going to get this machine into that room and we're going to get that looking all nice and beautiful. Right, so we've got our flexi sand in the room with us now. Young Charles is about to start going around this floor, show exactly how it's done. Main difference between a flexi sand and a trio is essentially that big hoover. You don't need that big hoover when it comes to the trio. The trio has its own built-in suction. The flexi sand does require a hoover. There's a few pros and cons to both machines, but ultimately they get the same job done. So I'm going to leave you with Charlie and we're going to get this room completely finished off, ready to have the corners done.